Hello, everybody. We are live. Happy Sunday. We are here in our little pre-Nano Q&A, prepping for Nano chat today. And so if you have any questions as we're heading into Nano, whether that's the process of Preptober or that's the actual, getting into the thick of Nano, please put your questions in the comments and we'll try to get to them as soon as we can and answer to the best of our ability. I figured to kick it off, we'll go through and start with our number one tip or something you've learned over the years that has helped you, have a good Nano experience. Doesn't even have to be finishing it, but just, enjoy your Nano with as little stress as possible. I'll let somebody, figure out who wants to start, sort of whoever has something come to mind. So for me, I think my number one Nano tip is not to sweat it. I was really competitive at first, and because I was initially comparing myself to people and trying to beat my own records and stuff like that. And at this point, I really am not stressing over word count and just doing it for fun and for the community. And that's made my experience enjoyable. I don't know about you guys.
That's kind of my tip-ish of what makes Nano special. It feels like it's the excuse to write and the motivation, but it's really the community of whether that's online or in person. I don't know if they're doing in person again this year. I know they didn't last year, but having other people writing and going through the same thing at the same time as you are is what makes it so powerful and so inspiring and so exciting to just get something done and report back with whatever you managed to accomplish, big or small. It's all great. And in the forums, you can find people with very similar goals and very similar genres. So it's a great time to meet other writing friends. It's a great time to just do writing sprints on Twitter and just get involved in the writing community while still working on something that you're excited about. So.
That's good
advice. I think my tip would be that a lot of learning to write is learning your process, and Nano is a great time to experiment with process. So if you are not a plotter, you can try plotting. If you are a heavy plotter, try pantsing, try different plotting methods, try sprints, try whatever, and using it as a way to kind of figure out what does work for you. I think that's, over the years that I've done Nano, been one of the most valuable things, is just trying different things and then figuring out what works for me and taking that into my writing the rest of the year.
Rachel, any thoughts?
I think everyone here except for me has actually participated in Nano before. I have not, under the excuse of schoolwork. But I think I find just project-based in general is, even if you're having a bad day or if you're trying to write and the words aren't coming, is just still do something in that space. So it's okay, maybe you can't, the words are not coming to you, can't write. Okay, well, try brainstorming, try making a Pinterest board, try doing something in that space, because then it's you're still working on it. You're just not working on it like you were before.
Yeah, I like that as a general tip for projects, like you said, because if you're having a day where you're really blocked or the words aren't coming, I do or even just reading over my plot line. So you kind of stay in the headspace of the project you're working on. Because I don't know about you guys, but I know for me, if I get thrown out of a project for more than a day or two, I'll find it difficult to get back into it. And especially if you're trying to get to the finish line in Nano, you don't want to struggle to get back into your project. So yeah, looking at Pinterest even could still help you stay in the mindset.
Yeah. And even I always found that even on those kind of days, writing just 50 words or something, it adds up, because there's going to be multiple days where it's harder. So doing as much as you can on those days without pushing yourself and burning yourself out, not only do you feel like you made a little bit of progress, but it does chip away at, if you're going to try to catch up later, it's something. And it does help you feel like you're going to stay in that headspace and stay connected with the story. So every little bit absolutely counts.
I've in the past sometimes tweeted the Nano site gives you a progress chart of how many words per day you're writing. and mine is a very like it is not slow and steady, and that works for me, and I think works for a lot of people to do that. Just like Kelly was saying, chip away on the days where you can't write 1,600 words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a lot of words when you think about it. Like that's one of the reasons I really love NaNo. I really love the community, but one of the best things I did was just say like, I'm gonna nano dangerously or like nano rebelliously and just enjoy the community and enjoy having goals and seeing my word count go up. But like, I'm not going to force myself to like win or feel guilty if I don't win, you know?
I think there's also something to be said, just in general, for like if you have writing block. A lot of times what I do is I'll say I'm just going to write whatever seems like very manageable for the day. So maybe it's I'm just going to write 100 words. And sometimes that'll like kickstart. And once I'm like actually sitting and writing and it's flowing again, I end up writing more usually than I intend to. But occasionally I really just am stuck. And I think if I can say like, I'm just going to write 500 words or 250 words, like I said, whatever is manageable for you. If you do that and you still are not feeling it, that for me is usually a sign that's like, okay, I need to step back and, you know, let myself recharge a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, this is a Q&A. If anyone has any questions, please leave them in the chat. Whether that is a NaNo specific question or if it's just a writing question in general, we're very happy to answer them. Somebody else will have to peek at the comments now and again to make sure, because I can't see them on my phone. As you can see, I am.
We do have a question.
Okay, cool. I'm in a cabin in the woods, and like I'm very lucky my Wi-Fi is good, but I am on my phone, so.
Sounds like the beginning of a horror movie.
I can keep an eye on the comments.
Okay.
So we have a question from Precious Cousins that says, any tips for someone writing first book at NaNo? Which, first of all, congratulations. That's like extra super exciting. I always get really excited when someone's like writing a book for the first time or like doing NaNo for the first time, because it is like just such a fun, exciting experience, and it's like someone's joining the club.
And I think writing a first book during NaNo can maybe even be an ideal way to do it for most people, because it can get so easy to get bogged down in like, I don't know how to write a book. What do I do? What are the steps? And with NaNo, you just do it. You just write words. You'll fix it later. You can try a bunch of different styles or like habits or how you want to go about it. There's no wrong way. Just having that momentum to help and get you through it, because that's the right way to write a book, is just keep doing it. And NaNo is so great for that.
Yeah. I think my advice generally, but also especially if you're like writing your first book, is, what is it Miss Frizzle always says, like, make mistakes, get messy, like really lean into the idea with NaNo that it's like, just get words on the paper, you know. You can do anything to revise or, you know, start over or whatever after, but just go for it. Just do it. Yeah,
I think actually writing your very first book with NaNo is actually kind of terrific combination, because like Kyra said, it really is just about getting words down on the page with NaNo. That's what you're encouraged to do. And, you know, for your first couple of books, I think as a newbie writer, it's really easy to get caught up in trying to make it perfect. Because, you know, there's that thing that Ira Glass says about your taste is good, but your skill isn't up to that level yet. So it's easy to get frustrated and like redo the same first chapter, say, over and over and over. But with NaNo, you have this almost like this time constraint, and you're like, get the words on the page. This is the goal. That's a healthy attitude, I think, to have for your first couple of books, to be honest, because your first couple of books are practice books. And I think it's important to be able to see that and to, you know, let yourself make mistakes and get sloppy and just like write whatever comes to mind. Because this is how you develop the skill to eventually write a book that you publish.
And I know that kind of feedback and advice like can scare people off of like, why waste my time with a bunch of practice books? But like, spend 1 month on a practice book and you'll be so much further ahead than most of us who just like stare at that first book for a year or two being all like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Well, and I know people say this all the time too, but like, you don't you don't like run into brain surgery and like do your first craniotomy or whatever. Like I know that book writing and surgery are not the same thing, but like you do need a bit of practice before you can write something that a publisher will put on a shelf for you. You know what I mean? Like, do expect, if you're writing the first novel you've ever written, to write at least 2 or 3 of them before you get to a point where it's publishable work. You know, for me, I think it was about 10 of them or something. But yeah, Nano is a fantastic time to just, you know, start that practice novel and find that community that will stick with you through the years until you're all writing books that, you know, are shelvable. So
I think also if you're starting off Nano with your first book or whatever, and it's like a practice book, you can also use that again. Like once you're a better writer, you can revisit that and rewrite it. If it's something
totally.
Like, oh, I don't want to like waste this idea on a practice book. Like it's not wasting the idea. It's like trying it out. And then if that works,
for sure.
you change it, whatever, then maybe like later down the line when you have a little bit more experience and more practice, you can revisit that idea and like bring it up to code, you know?
Yeah, and I was going to say that too about the idea of practice books. I think like none of us like feeling like the thing that we're working on is a practice book, because we're emotionally attached to our ideas and our characters in a way that, like, you know, like when I was learning to decorate cakes, I was not that emotionally attached to the cake. You know, I was like, well, if this one doesn't go well, I'll bake another one. But it's harder to do that with writing because it is like we form an emotional attachment to the ideas and the characters, and we don't want to feel like
you spend more time like
you spend more time
these characters. And
yeah, but I can also say that, like, because I know I very much felt that way when I started writing. I still kind of feel that way when I'm starting a new project, like, oh, I don't want this idea to like just not go anywhere. But also looking back at like the things that I wrote that were very much practice books, I feel fine about them now. It's okay that they weren't the one. I still occasionally take bits and pieces of those that I like. I take certain character dynamics now that I can write them better. But I guess, like, from someone who's been writing for a while, like, don't be afraid of something being a practice book. You'll like come to terms with that emotionally.
Yeah, and like you said, Kyra, like there's nothing, or like Rachel, there's nothing that's not recyclable. Like you can use whether that's an idea or a character or a subplot, you go back and steal stuff from your own work. Like I think there at least is in The Strange and Deadly Portraits of Bryony Gray, which was like the first thing I ever had on shelves. I'm pretty sure I stole at least 2 or 3 little snippets from books that will literally never see the light of day, that I wrote when I was first starting out, like first learning how to write, essentially. And like, it's not whole ideas or plot lines, but it's like an idea of a character here, or like a place name that I made up when I was like 13 or something. Like, so you steal little bits of your own work, essentially. So it's never going to go to waste. That's all you developing the skill that you need. And you can go back and borrow from yourself, essentially.
We have some really good comments. They're not all about what we were just talking about, but they're good comments, so I'm going to read them anyway. So Kayla Amanda says, we were talking about, this is related to the motivation thing from before. When words are evading me, I fall back onto a time limit. Maybe 200 words is too much for me, but I can at least give it my all for 20 minutes. Also a really good approach. And again, sometimes just that, like, getting in the chair does something for you and kind of unblocks your creative energy. And sometimes you only have 20 minutes. And so you just have to make the most of that 20 minutes. So great advice there. Jennifer Daniels says, don't be afraid to change your mind on what's next. I use a black highlighter to go over words I want to get rid of later, but it still counts towards the goal. So I think that's just good general advice for Nano. And kind of like we were saying, don't get hung up on making it perfect. Yeah, so also Kayla says, you can't expect yourself to be amazing at anything the first time you try it. And Misty K says, totally agree. No idea is wasted. It can always be revisited when you are ready. Jennifer Daniels has advice, find write-ins online, even old ones from years ago. We may or may not know some people who do that.
Yep. We may or may not have tons and tons that you can look up and follow along with.
And we will be doing write-ins every Sunday in November, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Live ones.
live ones. I actually don't know that I've ever done like a re-recording. I know they work just as well, but it's
I
fun
struggle
be
to watch
live.
ours because my instinct is to respond when people talk.
Yeah, same. But I know there are people like our subscribers that don't necessarily live in the correct time zone, in the time zone that they can tune in live. They'll go
That's
back
fair,
and
too.
rewatch the old ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Misty Kate loves our write-ins. We love Misty Kate.
Yay.
Andrew Walker says, enjoy the experience as much as you can. Writing some days can be hard, but make the best of good days. Also great advice. When you have a good day, like write it for all it's worth.
Yeah, that's really the nice thing about Nano, because it's in such a time constraint. You can kind of like talk yourself out of overthinking stuff, because it's not like go, go, go. And you're like, I don't have time to overthink things. I'm just going to write it and we'll see what happens. And that can be helpful if you're one of those people who is constantly like, well, everything has to be perfect before I start. And I need to know every single thing that's going to go on. You know, oh, I'm going to rewrite my chapter 16 times. Like, yeah, just having that like, nope, you got it down. Good. Keep going. Go back later.
When I was kind of developing the ability to just turn off my inner editor, I used a program called Write or Die a lot, that is not for the faint of heart. But basically this program, like you set like a time limit and a goal count, and it took you to a screen where you could type. And if you stopped typing for too long, it would like your screen would slowly turn red, and then like scary noises would start.
So
and
stressful.
And sometimes it would show you a picture of a spider.
No.
But it really got me good of like, I don't want to see the spider, so I am going to keep typing no matter
You can
what.
like tweak a lot of the settings. I haven't used it in a while.
You can make a less scary version of it.
And do like, give me a kitten every 100 words or something like that. So.
Yeah, if you're more of a positive reinforcement, you can do it to give you rewards.
Kittens instead of spiders.
Perfect.
Yeah, are you?
I know which one I'd rather share my apartment with, so.
Yeah.
But I think that program, I don't really use it anymore. I used it all the time for like a few years. I think I kind of eventually like just got to where I could more naturally turn off my inner editor and just whatever. I think there are other similar programs, again, maybe with some customizations if you don't want the spiders. Kayla says, I used to love Write or Die Kamikaze Mode. Kamikaze Mode was if you stopped typing for too long, it started deleting words you'd already written. I think I tried it once because I was pretty hardcore with that program, but that mode scared me.
See, I like that. It's like you can see what it erases, so you let it erase a couple and you can just write those again, and sometimes that would just, it's not like it makes it so you can never use those words again. The universe doesn't eat them. It just like you can rewrite those last few words. And
I think it made it for me feel less productive. Like, oh, if you don't get enough done, you're not only not getting enough done, we're now getting rid of the work you have done.
Yeah,
I think that was
terrible.
what I didn't like about it.
What if you like go to the bathroom or something and then you come back and like half your manuscript's gone?
I never said, I don't think I ever did Write or Die for longer than like 20 minutes. So there were no bathroom breaks.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
It's like the next secret level to unlock, it just like zaps you or something. Like, jeez.
Yeah, give technology a little longer.
Yeah.
Jennifer says, I've had personal word sprints while I have something in the oven. Also great. I like doing that too. Like I have this much time to.
Well, then you also get a reward at the end of it.
Yeah,
and then you get to. Yeah.
We had another question, by the way. Maisie asks, what non-plotting your book things do you like to have ready before November 1st?
Ooh.
Pinterest board.
Does that count as plotting?
I feel like no, because you're just finding like good pictures that your characters look like and stuff.
It's
or like
people who like meal prep and stuff before November are hardcore.
Oh, geez.
Oh yeah, that like even just like having the first week's food ready to go in your freezer of like, I would love to have that level of. But for me, like those kind of things give me nice breaks. of like,
Mhm.
I can't write all the time. So having
Like I'm
things like
thinking about
feeding
my book
myself.
as I'm pushing my shopping cart in the grocery store. For me, I think a big one is a playlist. I like making playlists for inspiration, but also just like for me, turning on my writing playlist for a book is a way of like cluing my brain in like, okay, it's time to go into the brain zone for this book.
Brain zone.
The brain zone. That's
Yeah.
a real thing. I didn't just make it up.
It absolutely is. I in the past have like done things like cleared off my desk because I usually for each project accumulate a drift of clutter. So it kind of feels symbolic as well, like getting yourself in the right headspace by decluttering the desk and setting up for a new project.
Even just like getting those kind of chores out of the way. If there's any less things you're going to need to do in the first little bit, just do them at the end of October instead can be really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And Kayla says, oh my goodness, is there a vacuum on in my apartment? Can you hear that?
A little bit.
Oh, okay. I'm just
You're
gonna.
fine. Don't worry about
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it like you can hear it or is it annoying?
I can't hear anything now.
It's okay. When you're talking, it's okay.
Okay. My house is usually pretty quiet, so I don't normally worry about this. Kayla says that there is the Nano and Noms thread on the forum that has some interesting recipe ideas. I am intrigued by this. I like recipes.
Oh, am I lagging or are you guys lagging? What's going on?
It must be you because you seem fine. We seem fine. Oh, she's frozen now.
Oh no! Very intimidating stare.
Tell me the truth.
Oh dear.
Okay. Well, we're just gonna wait for Aaron to hopefully come back. We've had some other good comments of essentials beforehand.
Sorry, Kayla says the cabin in the woods ghosts got her.
That is definitely what happens. And now we're just gonna have to stare at the lifeless image of her that's frozen into our screen.
I'm sure she'd be really glad to know that that's like the face she was making. Like, someone gonna screenshot this and send it to her. We love you, Erin.
Oh, and she's back.
Oh, to Erin.
She can see the face that she was making.
What is happening? Okay, can you?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Here, I'll kick the other account off.
Oh, you're no fun.
Okay. That was the weirdest thing. So you guys all started simultaneously freezing and then my TV turned on.
Oh, it's definitely the ghost. It's definitely the ghost.
So yeah, I'm a cabin in the woods and it's haunted. So cool. If I suddenly go missing in the middle of the chat, it's because I've been murdered. So
great.
Cool. Anyways, what were we saying?
So Misty K. So we're just talking about things to do before November actually starts. Misty Kate says playlist, faux book covers, and mood boards are a must. And Caitlin likewise says playlists, mock book covers, Pinterest boards, and deep cleaning the house are on the Preptober list. I especially like any of the fake book covers or mood boards or whatever. I think are really great for like midway through Nano when you like hate your book, and sometimes that can like remind you like, oh yeah, I had a vision for this and it was fun.
Yeah, for sure.
I just keep looking over there. My TV has turned on again and I turned it back off and I'm like thoroughly spooked now. I don't know what's going on. Okay, it's off now, I think. What the heck?
Weird.
All right. No, why are you still on?
This chat is chaos.
Oh my God. Oh, it's turned on again.
Wow. What is happening?
And
oh my goodness.
Kyrie, you're still muted.
Come for the Nano advice, stay for the BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Yes.
People are gonna start thinking that we planned this, but no. Actually, that'd be a really good like Halloween episode. Damn, why didn't we think of this beforehand?
Oh, all right. Is there anything else we're supposed to be talking about?
Well, see, Andrew says at least she's live, so we know when the ghosts come for her, but she's not here anymore. So
The ghosts came for her.
The ghost came. I guess we know when.
Oh dear.
All right, Rachel, you're the closest. You have to go save her.
I'm like multiple hours away, and I'm like,
Erin, this is really inconvenient for Rachel. If you could just save yourself, please.
the bus outside only comes once every half hour. Okay.
Let's face it, by the time you get there, she'd probably be toast anyway. So.
Probably.
And then whatever got her would get you, and then
it wouldn't be good. I have a midterm this week. I can't skip that. Sorry, Erin, but like.
Oh, she's back. She's alive.
Well.
I'm just letting it stay on now because it refuses to go off. I don't understand. Okay.
Jennifer is also experiencing the supernatural. The windows on my car have been rolling themselves down lately, as long as it doesn't happen while it's raining or snowing. Or
don't like that. Do not like that.
I would hope so that ghost was like very inconsiderate. It was just like, it's raining. Like, what a dick move. Like, I hope they do that.
Where's this one?
Really Erin and not an imposter, which was my first thought, because we had this whole thing recently where Randy Group thought Erin had been basically like taken over by the spirit of a forest.
Well, we hadn't seen her for a while, and we like looked at Erin's Instagram, and the last picture was like a picture of her in the woods.
I'm in a forest.
I'm in a forest, and then a few days later, after we'd been wondering where she was, she like posted something it was like a mug of tea in a book or something, and I think I said like, oh, it looks like she's probably fine, and I think Kelly said like, well, that's exactly what I would post if I was trying to make it look like Erin was around posting on Instagram. So
that's very true. That's very true.
Yeah, and yet
it
is putting herself out in the woods again.
I'm writing about spooky woods, so I have to.
You're getting the experience.
So if something was going to happen to me, it would be the woods eating my soul, obviously. And it is Halloween, so.
But in terms of nano advice, we really do not advise putting yourself into potentially dangerous situations for inspiration.
Well, I was
the forest to get your soul.
No, but I almost like, okay, I have a boot on my foot. Look, that sounds ridiculous. I have one of those walking boots, like an air cast on my foot right now. But if I didn't, I almost broke into an abandoned mini golf course today.
Oh.
I really wanted to, but the walking cast does not allow me to scale fences very easily. But
alas.
It was very spooky and I wanted to go inside. Anyways, back to NaNo.
Awesome. Please don't break into private property, kids.
Ugh, fine. Spoil sport.
I would fully go with you. Like,
get boost me up with my my cast on.
So please ask questions in the comments if you have them.
We've got a little off topic.
Sorry, no, there's also just a great comment from Keela who says, if the forest will do my revisions for me, we can negotiate a possession.
I feel like
good point.
There was a story about that. Someone named Faust or something like that.
There was a whole video about the most haunted books in history I was watching, and one was saying one of them is like a monk who like disobeyed his vow, made a pact with Satan and Satan wrote the rest of his book. And I was like, well, how do I make this deal? Like, I still got 60,000 of this words of this manuscript to write. Like, where are you, bro?
Okay.
This is not related to NaNo, but the people are asking. Savior Forever says, speaking about
Megan. We're just talking about haunted shit.
You're muted. You're muted.
Which is probably how we summoned her.
Yes, yeah.
I was watching and I saw Erin go and I was like, my headache's mostly gone. I gotta get.
I was like, I literally was like, Satan, where are you, bro? And Megan was like, hello. Perfect.
Savior Forever asked, speaking about spooky, have you guys ever had any spooky experiences in the past?
Well, this is a Halloween chat, so technically, I've had a few. I'm trying to think of the most, because I'm not necessarily a believer. I'm always on the fence about whether I actually think ghosts are real or not. But I was at this writer's retreat in Toronto, and we stayed at this place that was literally called Witch Wood. It was witch as in like W with, and then it's spelled with a Y, so it wasn't like straight up WITCH, but still, I was like, and it was a spooky like cabin in the woods type of place, and all of the furniture was wicker. You know, like, and you know how the noise that wicker makes? It's like this creaking, settling sound when somebody's sitting down in it. And so everyone else had gone out to get pizza, and I was lazy, so I stayed behind. And I was sitting in a chair at the table, and the wicker chair next to me started creaking like somebody had sat down in it. And so I sort of said to myself, okay, it's just settling. Like, it's just, you know, the house settles, the chair settles, wicker's noisy, it's settling. Except then it just kept going and going and going, like someone was fidgeting in the chair beside me. And I was like, it was starting to get, because like I'm very much like, well, there's probably no such thing as ghosts, and if there are, they can't really affect us. But this freaking chair was making so much noise. I finally turned to it and said, okay, can you stop? This is getting really annoying. And it went dead quiet.
Oh.
And then through the rest of the night, there was definitely like little noises and creaking and like nothing that was like definite.
Still, but we couldn't quite manage it.
It was a very fidgety ghost, if it was a ghost.
I haven't had any super spooky experiences, but this is a fun anecdote. Emma and I, she's not here today because she's at Disney, lucky. But we grew up together, and when we were about 9 years old, her mom played the piano for the local congregation that we were attending at that time. And so her mom would go into the church building on weeknights to practice, and we would go and play. And we had decided that we were part of what was called the Ghostbusters Club. Our moms made us shirts out of puff paint that glowed in the dark and had the Ghostbusters symbol on it.
That's very cute.
And we would just like turn off all the lights in this spooky, completely empty except for haunting piano music church building. And just like run around scaring ourselves. And it's great. That's why I write ghost books now.
That's very cute.
Fantastic.
We would never have been allowed Ghostbusters. My parents were very different religious people. I never had spooky experiences with like actual ghost type thing, just like actual people. Like I had a friend that did the scariest shit when she was sleepwalking. Like, yeah, she would like sit up straight in bed. You know how zombies sit up with their arms out type thing? And she would just do that in the middle of the night and then just stare at you with these like blank dead eyes. And you knew she was sleeping, but still it was like, okay, you're terrifying. I'm not sleeping over again. I think I was like 15 or something. And she would do that. Then she would get up and she would like walk around in a circle and around the bedroom and then lie back down. And you're like, hey, I hate this. I don't like sleeping over with you.
Well, there you go, friends. There's some, if you need any nano inspiration for a horror novel, just got some stuff from us.
Sleepwalkers.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, Ghostbusters with puff paint. I guess we should actually talk about NaNo.
So the question I was going to ask about NaNo is like, what is your strategy when you reach the point, maybe you're like 30K in, that like your entire plan just falls apart?
I cry.
That's a good approach.
Very important step.
Agreed.
And then
Chocolate.
I give up.
Also
Just
an
kidding.
important
Don't give
step.
up.
Or do. Or
Yeah.
don't.
For like a small amount of time, because you need that like sad, slow pan moment where you, and then you can, then you can have the training montage of like getting better and like getting better.
Training montage.
Yeah, think of it as like the point in your book where your characters are going to feel like there's no way they can get through this, and just like
Darkest
channel
hour.
that into it. Yeah.
I know for me, when I hit 30K and I don't want to do anything anymore, I always, instead of panicking, I just think about like, well, what's my max? I can easily do a 5K day. With a stretch, I could do a 10K day. And so I just plan out, well, what if I just don't write except for 4 more times? And like, I'll just finish it. Like, what's the least amount of like major writing sessions I would need to finish this? And it's like, oh, well, I still have a week and a half. I can definitely do that by then. Like,
So
once
Megan does this very dangerous. Like,
yes, I do it dangerously because, no matter what, you're a winner. You've gotten words down. And for me, if I see that number keep going up, like, oh, well, now every day I have to write 1,800. Well, now every day I have to write 2,000. It's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm just not. I know myself. But I do know that I could do 2 or 3 big sittings easily.
And even if you plan ahead and say, hey, okay, on the last 3 days, I'm going to do these like enormous writing sprints all day. If you even sit down a few more times ahead of that and manage to bang out, 1,000, 2,000 words, you're chipping away from the huge amount of work you have to do at the end. So, I mean, I've done that too as well in the past.
and something I talk about every year that I think would like be so good at avoiding this altogether is called reverse nano. Is that what the actual name is?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
So they've set up the calendar where instead of having an equal number every day, you are writing the most words, and they've like assigned how many words it is on the first day, and then it gets smaller every day. So by like the last day, you're writing 1 word or something like that. So it starts out with a fair bit more than. See if I can find it. I'm curious what the starting number is and how insane it feels, because you always have the most motivation in that first like weekend, that first few days.
Yeah, I have realized that
smart.
I don't officially like do what Kelly's talking about, but I do try to hit it hard at the beginning, because I know, especially like towards the end of the month, there's American Thanksgiving, and I'm always traveling for that, and so it's nice for me to like hit that point where then I'm in a position where I can pretty comfortably take a few days and write very little or not at all and still be like kind of on track to win.
Oh, I found a really cool like Reddit thread that has, so with the official reverse nano schedule, it's an average of 2,845 words per day the first week, but by the last week it's an average of 575. But they've actually, they probably have Pacemaker and have done a aggressive, moderate, and steady version of each of those averages. So like you can do 2,500 average-ish, and then have an 850 average for the last one. So there's all these different versions. I'll put that link in the chat.
Yeah, I love that.
That's cool. It's a good idea.
Misty Kate brought up a good point about tracking by word count. Said it works for some people and for some people it does not. Nano is based on it, but you can keep count other ways. Like you can pick out like what would 50,000, that level of stretch be for you in hours, in page numbers. Like they don't even make you validate your word count anymore, right? So literally, or do they still?
I don't know.
I can't remember. I feel like there was a year they didn't. I'll double check, but
I think it broke one year, so it might not have been like a real thing. It was the bad website year.
Right.
The bad website year.
I also
pick a goal that works for you, and you can do that, and no one's going to be like, you didn't win.
Yeah, I work in scenes as well. So like what would work, like I really love the idea of, half a scene a day or something. Because to me, then I can be like, oh yeah, I'm really making progress. I, knocked out 3 or 4 scenes. Okay. I'm being invaded, I think.
Okay.
Carry
Not by
on.
ghosts, though.
No, not by ghosts this time.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of goals that way as well, because I might do like a choose your own adventure kind of book or like a narrative game kind of thing. So I don't know if it's going to be something that like 50,000 words even makes sense. So I'm trying to think through of like what might a non-traditional goal that still feels as challenging be. And I haven't quite worked it out, but I feel like more and more people nano rebelliously.
Mhm.
So it just, there
Mhm.
might even be a great thread on the forums of just different ways people track
Oh, I'm
nano in
sure.
general.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like, and then you can even do the equivalent of like, if you do track your words, say like, oh, one scene is worth 2,000 words. So you can sort of fudge the numbers a bit, or 2 hours is 2,000 words, or whatever, and then that way you can still keep track of how you're doing, and the graph continues to go up, because that is satisfying seeing that.
Mhm.
Do we have any more questions in the chat?
Kayla mentioned too, if they are going to be doing validating this year, you can just generate like 50,000 words using the like lorem ipsum thing.
That's cheating. Caleb is trying to make you all cheat.
But if like you're doing like for me 50 scenes is the equivalent of 50K or something, like you can,
Mhm.
there are
It's also
ways
kind of
for
like
it.
no one's actually enforcing nano, like
Yeah, they aren't saving those words when you validate them.
yeah, well, and it's like, okay, so if you didn't finish nano, who's gonna care? I mean, like,
Truly, by week 3, everyone is online going, "You're still a winner anyway."
There are no nano
matter
police.
what, you win.
Yeah.
No nano police are going to come and take away your certificate.
Yeah, I tried going on the NaNoWriMo wiki, and it only said in 2019 they didn't have the validator, but it hasn't said if they ever brought it back. And I don't think I won last year, so I couldn't tell
I
you.
kind of don't. All of the nanos blur together for me now. I kind of don't think they have had it since they totally like revamped their site a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I don't think they brought it back.
Yeah. Trying to pull up. How did I do last nano? Oh, probably not well. My dad died, so.
Oh, yeah, well.
Oh, yeah.
That makes sense then.
Like, there are a couple people in the comments saying they didn't validate last year either, and like it wasn't a problem. So
Hey, I wrote 20,000 words. That's not terrible.
That's very good considering.
That's like
Yeah.
better
Not
than I've
terrible.
done all year. So.
The other thing to do before nano officially starts is remember your nano password and get signed in. So
I'm trying to do that now and it's not working.
Because I had switched over to my pen name everywhere, and I had changed my nano username to my pen name and forgot. And I was like, it's gone. My nano account is gone.
I'm not seeing anywhere on the site to validate.
Yeah.
Maybe they just dropped it as a thing, because for some people it does create pressure.
Oh, Caitlin says they haven't had it since 2018.
Oh, dang, we're behind.
So,
I kind of thought they didn't, but I also didn't want to say for sure because I don't, like I said, they're all blurred together and I don't, by the time I get to the point in nano where I would be validating a novel, my brain is mush.
yeah.
It is done.
Yeah,
There's no more brain left to brain.
I also just haven't validated in ages because I have been nanoing rebelliously every year, it seems like, and not having anything to validate.
If you have not created an account on the NaNoWriMo website yet, it's nanowrimo.org. And if you are looking at the site and you're feeling a little overwhelmed, you're like, oh my God, where do I start? If you Google using the NaNoWriMo website or getting started on the NaNoWriMo website, we do have a video on this channel. It's a couple of years old now because I did release it when they first updated the website, but the structure of the website is the same. The only thing that's different is they've fixed bugs. So any bugs mentioned in that video are most likely fixed. But other than that, it gives you like a 12-minute intro to the site and how to get started and how to declare a project, I believe. So if you need that, that is there.
Cool, thank you. I forget what we've done on this channel.
Yeah, and we do have two,
Everything.
because I did one back in like 2016 or something too, but then they changed the website. So make sure you're looking at the 2019 one.
I feel like if there's a subject that needs to be covered about Nano or writing in general, we have covered it somewhere on the channel.
That's why we stopped doing weekday videos. It's like you are probably sick of hearing us talk about these things.
Wow. Plus, it's like you've got 6 videos about one subject already. It's like, what else is there to say?
Yeah, we all burned each other, like we all burned out a bit. So it was good to not have that.
Yeah, plus in these like live chats, we get to go way more in depth and you get like more opinions all in one go. And so I think in that regard, it's more useful.
And interaction.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and Aaron gets kidnapped by the ghost. And
Yeah.
Sometimes
you don't
do
get
that
that in
the
video. Andrew has, this isn't exactly a question. I'm making it a question. Andrew says, I've decided to finish my book from last Nano, and I'm very nervous about finishing the book before I hit another 50K. Ooh. As a chronic underwriter, and like the past couple Nanos, well, yeah, in the past couple Nanos, I've been writing like YA contemporaries where like they're usually not much over 50K even when they're done. And so for me, an underwritten first draft, like this is always a concern for me. Is it like, so do we want to talk about how to?
Yeah.
I brought it up. I guess I can start.
The underwriters need to take this away.
It's me and Megan. The thing is, it's Nano. Sometimes if I feel like I just need to stall, I will stall. I will write 500 words about what the character is wearing and delete it later to hit that 50K. Is that a great approach? Probably not. Sometimes it does generate like, you know, if I'm trying to think of like additional scenes that I can add, I have occasionally generated good things that way. But that
even just like
the concern is real.
What characters are wearing, like do character interactions, like let that be a way to get to know your characters a little better. Of like, oh, they're just going to have a regular dinner and there's going to be like tension about things that don't matter to the plot, or they're just going to joke around and you get to explore what they like about each other and anything that makes sense, that it still helps your book.
Or I try to beef up my internal monologue, which is one of the things that I usually need to do in revisions anyway, so it's fine that it's probably good that I pay more attention when I am getting to like, oh no, I'm at 40K, but I only have like a few chapters left.
Yeah, I think pivoting to revising that book, if that's what you want to do, is a great thing. I almost always have like, oh, well, there's this scene that I wanted to add in, so I can write that, or I can write myself an edit letter and I will count those words for sure. I also don't think there's anything wrong with just starting something new and counting those words. If you get to 50K and you don't want to start a new novel, you can still practice, you know, write some short stories, try writing some poetry, and like adapt the word count as you need to. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with finding new ways to add words. It doesn't necessarily have to be the traditional one project all the way. But I definitely understand that fear.
I think this goes back to talking about word counts, but I like this idea. ATW 2006 said that they make an individualized schedule that has more on weekends and less on weekdays.
That's a good idea.
If you don't want to math it yourself, Pacemaker is great for this.
Oh. Have we put a link to Pacemaker?
I don't think so.
NovelPad also has that, I found out. You can set goals and you can have it adjust so that you have certain days that you say, I write less this day, or I don't write this day, and it will, or I write more this day, and it'll adjust all your other days accordingly. If you are a NovelPad user, I know we've talked about NovelPad on the channel, so that functionality is there and it's great.
Yeah, Yeah.
Also, just a fun, nice comment. Joe Catherine says that this is going to be her 12th NaNoWriMo.
Wow.
Joe
Yay!
Catherine should be leading this discussion. Joe Catherine knows more than we do.
That's
Kelly,
awesome.
you've done a ton of nanos, right?
Yeah, it's at least 15. I'm trying to.
Woo!
I don't even know where to look anymore. I think I
Damn.
know my way around this.
I wish on the
It's a long
website you could say
time.
only show me the nano projects. I like
Yeah.
having them all
Yeah.
on my page, but let's see. I got 1, 2.
This is 16 for me.
Wow.
Wow.
Amazing.
4.
I do so many where I'm like unofficially participating, and I'm like, I don't know if I can count those.
I think you
think
should.
so.
You're
Yeah.
still doing it in the spirit of Nano.
Yeah, because I
Mhm.
definitely didn't like win all of these. I didn't do all of these in a non-rebellious way. I participated in Nano. I no longer know how not to participate in Nano.
Yeah, really.
I think this
Isn't
is
that
my
what?
10th.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Oh, double
That's what-
digits.
Yeah.
So November is for Nano now, right? Like that's the whole point
Yeah,
of the
this-
month.
this is-
I look forward to NaNoWriMo way more than I look forward to American Thanksgiving.
And Canada really has it figured out where we put Thanksgiving in a different month because
Yeah.
NaNoWriMo is what happens in November.
Of course.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously.
That's
Well, Nano
clearly what
Every time.
Thanksgiving's
Every
only a
time.
weekend, so
Yeah.
that's why Canada did that, right? For sure.
yeah.
Because of Nano.
So we voted.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm coming up with 8 on mine, but I feel like there was 1 or 2 years before that aren't in that I didn't like officially create a project that I did it.
Yeah. Because I think I only did Nano once and then I met you and we started writing group. So
Aw. So you guys have known each other for how many years then?
like
2014 is 2014 when we met. 2015.
I think 2013.
2013.
I lived in California in 2015.
Okay, so it would have been 2013. So like 8 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
We
Actually,
love
not-
friendship.
Not that the word nerds are almost that old too. So.
Mhm.
And speaking of friendships, just because I'm on my buddies page, if anyone in the chat wants to be friends on the NaNoWriMo website, drop your username into the chat and I will absolutely add you as a friend. I expect I'm already friends with some of you.
Oh, definitely.
And I have a lot of friend requests I hadn't accepted yet, so I'll go do that right now too. Hopefully these people are still people who are interested in being friends with me, because I'm sure it's been a while.
They're probably
I'm-
holding a grudge now. They're just so mad. They've been mad for years that Kelly never
Yeah.
friended them back. How dare. Do we have any more comments?
Kayla said, I deleted all my projects from before 2007 for some reason. Regret losing all that
Oh.
information about what barely veiled Buffy fanfic I was writing in the early 2000s.
That would have been valuable information.
I just recently reread like a bunch of like stuff I wrote in like dating as far back as middle school. No one else will ever read it, but I'm glad I have it for me to know how silly I was.
Yes. One of the things I do love with it's not really new, it's 2 years old, but with the new Nano website as compared to the older one is now like right at the top, it tells you how many words you've written because of NaNoWriMo.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And I love that because as someone who underwrites a lot and writes like 1 book a year, it sometimes feels like, have I written that much? But it's like, no, I'm going to hit 400,000 words just through Nano this year, assuming I make it through this Nano,
Wow, that's awesome.
which is a lot of words.
That is a lot of words.
Yeah.
Very many words.
And definitely words I would not have written without NaNoWriMo because, I don't know, the frenzy.
It really is the people that I'm doing Nano with that make me like actually accountable. Be like, I guess everyone else is getting better word count than I am. So
And
let's do
especially
this.
in November, it would be so easy to be like, well, the year's almost done. I'm just going to relax and pick it up in January when I'm
That's true.
all hyped up on my new goals.
Yeah.
As I'm looking at mine, I just barely on my website made like a sort of works in progress page and included like a mood picture. And apparently the one I chose for my website is the same one I used for like my NaNo cover when I wrote it for NaNo last year originally. So
Amazing.
consistency.
All right, so I think we're getting ready to wrap up. Next week is going to be, we talked about our write-ins a little earlier. Do we call it a plan-in or a plot-in? What do we call this?
Prep-in?
Yeah.
No, it'll be structured a lot like a write-in.
Oh, we do have one more question that I think will be Kayla Amanda says, do you all have rewards for yourselves?
Good question.
Praise from my peers. That's all.
Usually.
Yeah, I usually do the like pre-ward of going to the coffee shop to write, but since the pandemic, it's picking up coffee and sitting in my car outside the coffee shop and writing, which is, a little pre-ward. I'm out though, so I feel like I need to write. And then anytime I finish a book, I get Taco Bell. It's great.
Oh, nice.
So I hit that 50K.
Mostly food related too.
Yeah. And if I hit 50K, I get a t-shirt.
Nice.
Oh, nice. See, I can't. I wish I could do rewards, but I'm not someone who can because, I just don't have the willpower to deny myself that if I don't reach the goal. Because I'm an adult and I can do what I want. So,
Except I have any sort of self-control. I'm the same way. No judgment.
I want that thing immediately. So why would I wait?
Yeah.
Not a great attitude, but.
Megan's coffee shop thing of I like going to the library to write during NaNo, but here right now because of COVID, there's an hour limit. Can I make that work in my favor?
Oh, yeah, interesting. We do have a coffee shop nearby that has a 2-hour limit too. So maybe I'll use that. Be like, I only have 2 hours. I got to get it done. Kind of a good idea.
You got to make that $7 coffee worth it.
That's
I
right.
Tell them, I'm please give me an extra 7 minutes to sit down and pack up. Of I need the hour. I won't feel like it counts if I have to count the moving time.
No, I'm going to be go to the front desk.
Go down in 53 minutes.
I want you to come and yell at me if I pass that 2 hours. Get out. I need the incentive. Well,
one thing Kayla said pre-ward, I'm stealing that. I will say I got that from Kirsten White's Twitter. That was not my idea.
Pre-ward. He said, everything is a pre-ward.
She does pre-wards and they do not work.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Do we have any final questions or comments before we wrap up? No?
Should be an interesting year.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. We got one more. This is from Jada. It says, what about cheating and starting early?
I don't, but I support you. Yeah.
Erin's already working on her book. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, my NaNo is always unofficial anyways. So, it's kind of cheating, but my whole NaNo is kind of cheating anyways. So
the general sentiment that you're going to get from this group is do whatever is going to work for you and get you the words that you want.
For real. Yeah.
If you want to be more rule followy, I'd go with use that as plotting time. And people, when they plot, you write out, this is kind of a sentence I would like that counts. It's fine. And then when you just get to the point in their story where you want to put that line, it's going to be easier than it would have otherwise. But how different is that from holding it in your head? It's fine.
Yeah,
exactly.
I will also say I'm mostly a traditionalist with NaNo, but we usually do a Word Nerds write-in kickoff at midnight Eastern on November 1st. But I'm not Eastern time, so for me it's 10 p.m. on October 31st. But I want to be there for the write-in, so I usually start a couple hours early, and I tell myself Well, it's fine as long as I finish a couple hours early too, right? Which for me usually isn't a problem. Like if I'm gonna finish, I'm done before 10 p.m. on
Yeah.
the
I
last day
think
of
for a
November.
couple years after I moved to the East Coast from California, I left it on Pacific time. Just because I liked that better and I knew I was going to be up that late anyway.
Well, this has been a great chat. We are doing a prep-in next week, same day, same time. Please join us for that.
And then the week after that is our Halloween game night.
And if you want to join us for all that, please like and subscribe to the channel.
Bye. So much Nano.
Bye.